Wellness Show, episode number 417.
Welcome to the Wellness Show, a podcast on health and wealth. I'm your host, Tyhson, the founder of the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy. Join me as we get the latest insight, tips, and strategies from wellness providers, coaches, and successful, heart-centered entrepreneurs, and much, much more. Come and visit. I don't know. Welcome to the Wellness Show on health, wealth, and enlightenment. This is in the last week of the show, and before we take summer vacation, or even maybe longer. So this is your opportunity to phone in and help us get you from where you are to where you want to be in the shortest amount of time. So this is your show. However, we do have topics we love to talk about. But if you need some help, then by all means phone in. Of course, after the show, just to let you know, all the people that have been on this show and bringing this show to you are available to do one-on-one sessions with you. So that's Laura, that's Tyhson, that's Carla, and it's Corey. So please take advantage of the opportunity, whether it's astrology or you're an empath that needs to get out of your way, working with Carla. So choose who you want to work with to get you from where you already want to be. So the lines are open and you can interrupt us at any time. It's 1-866-369-7464. And today's topic is interdimensional travel. So good morning, Laura.
Good morning.
So you were talking about interdimensional travel yourself, about tubes and toruses and things. So
yeah, I go through tubes, and they look like light tubes. So mine have tons of different lights, and it goes super, super fast, and then I'll be where I need to be, and then I'll kind of get sucked back through them at a much higher rate, and then pull back into my body. One of my friends says it feels like she's going through cloud tubes, which I think is pretty much, seems to me like it would be very similar. Or if you've ever gone through a water slide, nowadays they have the tubes and you go down and through them, and that's kind of what it's like.
Yeah, it sounds like Star Trek, or Star Trickle as I call it. Going from one interdimensional reality to another, like in hyperspeed. So why are you doing that, and why would you bother doing that? Or is it something that just happens for you? Or are you actually intending it to happen? Just questions, no right answer.
But I haven't done it in a really long time. Yeah. Now I have to consciously want to.
Yeah.
But before I was working with my first teacher, and it would just happen.
Just happen, right?
Yeah.
So did you get to have any control over it whatsoever?
I don't think I tried to control it.
Okay, like you didn't say, hey, I want to go to Venus, or I don't want to.
No, I did say the one thing is that I had the star people that were working on me from where I was from, and I asked them who they were and what they were doing, because they kept coming and working on me while I was in this deep meditation, and they said, you are us and we are you. And I was like, we're from the same place. And they're like, yeah. And I said, can you take me there? And they're like, absolutely. And then we were there, went through a tube, and we were there, and it was very, very weird. Very weird planet.
Very weird planet. I'm going to be very careful and bite my tongue and say nothing about that.
I know the weird thing isn't because I'm so weird.
No, I didn't say that.
But it was
stop reading my mind.
Because it's like nothing that you could ever like think that this was the way that it would be, but like the atmosphere was more like jelly.
Yeah.
Which is like mind bending to me, because the atmosphere is jelly.
Right.
Ours is light and airy, and this is like super dense, and like it was weird.
Yeah,
like,
I don't think
not weird, strange. It was very strange. Like, yeah. Maybe I just didn't have the.
Maybe you're not your favorite place.
It's not my favorite place because it was very warm and loving.
Right.
But the atmosphere, it looked similar to like our big cities, Um, but the atmosphere was so different, and like they didn't have the trees or the water or
Right.
the it was very different, and it was I will say that Earth is very beautiful. Very,
Yeah, I
very
think you're right. I think my sense is that this is like the interplanetary, intergalactic way station to let's go hang out and have fun on planet Earth. I really think this was like a tourist destination for interdimensional species. Seriously, I think this is like a
nice.
jewel in the crown, so to speak. And I think, as certain species wanted it to be their favorite hideaway, like people get, this is my retreat
Mhm.
center, and I don't want them neighbors, so I'm going to build fences, right? So they built energetic fences around the planet to exclude the neighbors that they didn't want to have to deal with. And then that got into nasties. And as the energy started to shut down, all those portals or that tubes that you were talking about for interdimensional travel just got locked down. All the gates just went snap, they just went closed. And then those that were here visiting couldn't go home. It was like COVID-19 interdimensionally, all right? No interdimensional travel, lockdown, right? And we've been in this state for a long, long time. And I think part of what's going to happen as we get closer and closer out of this craziness towards a new earth, a more universal peace, those gates will open up, right? So then we'll
Yeah.
have visitations from other extraterrestrial beings that are waiting for us to come back into alignment, right? But they had to close the gates because we were really going down the tube bridge, so to speak.
I wonder if there's like, because they did come energetically, they did come and work on me. And they said that they needed to work on my energy, my energetic level in order for me to continue on with this work. And
Yeah, I
so,
think the difference is that those are interdimensional beings that can appear and disappear and reappear anywhere. What we're talking about is more embodied beings that have a sort of a body they got to bring in through an interdimensional portal.
oh,
And then,
like where they could like hang out and like walk the
yeah,
streets and,
yeah, and have, sex and all the rest of it because they have senses in their body. And this is a great place to have a
oh,
vacation on the beach. It's sort of like Easter break or whatever. But then they
mm,
couldn't, and when the lockdown came, they couldn't go home, right? Because they don't know how to do interdimensional travel in the way we're talking about, which is, you know, the advanced part of this would be, according to the life and teachings of the Masters of Far East, is you will be here and envision yourself being there, and then you'll dematerialize here and then be there. Or, there's other stories in the life and teachings of the Master of Far East of walking on a trail and finding an old man in the middle of the trail or beside the trail, and he's got a bird's nest in his beard because he's not there. His body's there, but he's in some other dimension, right? So there's various ways to do it. One by parking your body there and going and being somewhere else, which is sort of like, uh, I love this story of somebody asking one of the Aboriginal elders in Australia, so what do you think about man landing on the moon? And he says, oh, I've already been there. He's already done that, right? Been
right.
there. Walked around, took a look, you know. So, why would
Not
you want?
much there.
I've
Go.
already been there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, do we want to, through that portal, do we need to take our body, or do you want to take your body? Or in some cases we do, that's, teletransportation.
Hmm.
So there's
Hmm.
various levels to this. And it brings up interesting conversations because what you get when you come back is a whole different way of seeing the world, right? Like this.
Hmm. Yeah.
He's
I
an
do not
Enoch
see the
is
world the same way.
you never see the words the same way. And
No.
this is really, when you read this, it's like, whoa, this is like, for this situation, right? This was going to up to the highest levels of heaven, or to creator God, or whatever I'll call it. And looking at the different seraphim and all the different angelic kingdoms all the way up to the Godhead, and then trying to come back and explain it in some way that encoded in some language that somebody could understand, because it's an out-of-body experience that is beyond anything that we normally understand. And of course, Ezekiel in the Bible had the same problem too, right? He talked about wheels within wheels, there's a song, wheels within wheels, trying to describe it in the language of that day, of what he was experiencing. Was that him traveling, or was that a UFO that picked him up? We don't know, but there was definitely interdimensional travel that was
Travel. Yeah.
involved in that, right? So have you ever learned how to do meditation to activate what's called the Merkaba, which is your interdimensional portal? Have you ever used the Merkaba to travel?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I teach it as well, how to use your Merkaba. Yeah.
Right.
Or Merkaba. It's I don't know as if you can really teach it. You can explain it to people that it's there, and then either they see it or they don't, and they understand it and they feel it and play with it is what I want to say.
All right. Well, let's take a look at um, interdimensional travel from a couple of different perspectives by sharing the screen here. Um, I'll start off with my favorite picture that we just showed there.
I
Um,
love this picture.
and because this is really helpful. So first of all, it's like we've talked about Kundalini before, where when you activate and bring all of your chakras into alignment through meditation or yoga or Tai Chi or Qigong, and you connect your Tanchen and your energy centers, you have this divine flow of energy that's flowing in through your crown chakra, down through your feet, down to the heart of Mother Earth. And then, of course, every flow of electrical energy has to come back to source. So if you see, it comes all the way back in, right? And all electrical fields, when they run from positive to negative, create a field around them, which we call magnetism. So this is your auric or magnetic field that you create. So you are a tube torus, right? You are a tube torus. And this is the Merkaba. It's standing on a Merkaba, but actually we'll show you pictures that it is actually three-dimensional. So he is in a tube. He's in a tube torus, but actually the Merkaba is like this. I'll just draw it in there like that. Can you see me
Yep.
moving my? So that's the male, right? And I'll show you a diagram. It's spinning this way, and then this is the female part that comes through here, and it's spinning the opposite way. And then you have a 0 point in the center of this tube torus. And when your heart, which is a tube torus, all these chakras are tube toruses. When you nest them all together, they collapse. And when they collapse, there's 0 time, 0 space. So now you're in that null zone, in that sacred space of no time. And then you can, with your imagination, where you're, where your energy flows, where your imagination goes, right? So where you think about where you're going, you will literally go there, right? So this is the basics of looking at the relation between a tube torus, your chakras, the alignment, and the sacred geometry that is created, right? Love this picture. Let's see what else we can find up here. Okay. Oh, that's not very helpful. Let me see here. Oh, this is in the way. Let me just get out of this out of the way here. So this is what the tube torus looks like, right? As just the shell itself, right?
Yep.
It's like just a big giant donut. And we talked about sacred marriage. So this, I didn't know this would come up, but here you can see the interrelation of two tube toruses as they interact and double the field, right?
Yep.
So when you do this in a group, I'm not saying when you have an orgy, but that's another way. But if you were joining hands in a group all the way around, from heart to heart to heart, then this would be one wave going from one heart to here and one heart to here. And that would be all the way around in the circle. And when you do that, then the whole group becomes a tube torus. And then the whole group has activated a Merkaba, and the whole group gets to have an experience. And we were doing that in a group. And I don't know if I told you this story before, Laura, and we were starting a Merkaba, and then the train went by. But people didn't know whether it was the train or the Merkaba doing this and lifting off. We lost half the meditation class that evening. they're a little nervous about this whole, because it can be, if the alignment isn't correct, it can feel like a little bumpy as you get ready to do it.
Mhm.
Yeah, the whole room shook with the train going by and people went, it's sort of funny.
That was awesome.
It was
You
awesome.
guys are
Oh,
great.
it's working, it's working. Oh, oh. Right. Yeah.
That's
See
awesome.
if we can find something else here. That's not very helpful. Yeah, and this, of course, is Michelangelo, right? Or the beginning of Michelangelo, where you have the sacred geometry of laying it out according to the flower of life and looking at the different dimensional relationships in the body. Maybe we can find a better one. Well, here's Michelangelo, you know, the man here. It's not a very good picture, but again, it's a sacred geometry. Let's see if we can find a better one. There it is. So
Yeah.
there's the sacred geometry within the tube torus, right? The tube torus comes down through here, the energy field and down. But these are all geometrical proportions, so that, you know, the one joint on your finger has the sacred geometry of the length of your full finger. And then your full finger has the sacred geometry of the golden mean of your hand. And then your hand has the golden mean relationship in proportion to your arm, and so on throughout the body. So you are a living fractal of the universe, right? And so
That's how we learned how to draw when I was a kid.
yeah, cool. Somebody was very good at teaching you that. So
Mhm.
yeah, and so this is the proportions of humanity, which again
Mhm.
is a fractal of the, you know, as above, so below, what, so
Yeah.
within and so without.
Yeah.
So that all relates to interdimensional travel. These are just more pictures of that, right?
And you know what's interesting is that I don't think that he understood fully what it is that we're talking about, but he did understand the perception of like how the face is actually like he did it mathematically, which is
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, he was a pretty amazing dude. I mean,
amazing.
so
Oh
here
yeah,
I
I
just
mean he
wanted,
was definitely above his, way far ahead of his time.
yeah, I wanted to show this really simple diagram of the Merkaba as an interventional vehicle, just because it shows you the male and the female aspect, right, of the tetrahedron here, which is the
Mhm.
basic fundamental building block of the 5 platonic solids, right? And I should have had, Sarah, could you run and get me those
Yeah.
just recited?
Yeah.
And so when you put one on top of the other, actually, yeah, and then you start to spin them, like one's going one way. As you can see, this is what, if you start in the center and you're going around here and you look down on that, that's clockwise, right?
Yeah.
So the male is going clockwise, and the female aspect of this is going counterclockwise. And if you look at the center point, it is somewhere, in here it looks like it's around the tantien, you know, the belly button area, right?
Mhm.
Two points above the belly button is where that 0 point, when this happens, this tube torus, literally in your heart and all your chakras collapse into one, and you have this interdimensional ability to then reassemble it wherever you want. And the more clear consciousness we have around this, the more we can literally disassemble our atomic structure and recreate it somewhere else. So this is going to be interdimensional travel in the form of teletransportation, right? So that's pretty cool.
I don't know how I remember which is
Oh yeah,
male and which is the female.
right.
The
So
male is the one with the point sticking out the front, right?
yeah,
Guess what that is? And the female is upside down.
yeah. I guess what the one with the point sticking out the front is. Yeah, that's the one you can remember as the male, right? And then this is what, and these are teaching aids from Grumvalo's class, right? You happen to inherit this.
Turn it a little bit.
Hmm?
Oh, you know what? They can't see it though, because you're still on share.
All right. Let me just get out of the, yeah, of course, get out of the share.
Only
Stop.
because I'm watching it on the.
Yeah, I was watching, like, what's going on here? So,
There we go.
so here's the basic fundamental
Mhm.
building block of the universe, right? It's a
The pyramid.
tetrahedron,
Oh,
and that's what we're
tetrahedron.
talking about. And then if you put one on top of the other, put this in front here, right? You can see that one is in front of the other.
Mhm.
And so the male, as Sarah said, is with the part with the point sticking out. She said obvious, you know, males with the point sticking out. And then the bottom part is then the female, right? So, and when you spin them, one is
Mhm.
turning one way and the one is turning the other. So in the center of that then is created the 0 point.
That is
0 point
so,
technology is based on
so
this,
cool.
right?
What is that made out of? That particular one?
This is just it's just got beautiful reflective
It does. It's
stuff
gorgeous.
on it. I think I tried to hang it up a number of times, but it doesn't really want to get hung up. But yeah, and so these are from
Yeah.
Drumvalo's Teachings Aid. Thank you, Drumvalo, for then of course this is one that's done in crystal that we talked about. Did we talk about this?
No, you and I did this morning,
Right.
but not on here.
Yeah, so when you put these together, they create a energy field. So I have a box of them downstairs. I think Michael said maybe we have 24 of them. They're lined up in a special way. So it's like when you do electricity and you do things in parallel series, it builds up, one builds up, or one activates the other, activates the other, activates the other. So what that means is that as they then become a big Merkaba, right? Just like if you're an individual in a group, then you create a big Merkaba for interdimensional travel. So these are like become then a light center, which is in our dodecahedron sound chamber, which is another structure of sacred geometry. And then it broadcasts then throughout the universe and brings about that vibrational frequency to everybody. Welcome to the Wellness Show. Who were we talking with? Good morning. Who were we talking with?
Hi, my name is Deborah.
Hi, Deborah.
Hi.
Do you have a question?
I had a question about a clearing.
Okay, and what would you like to clear?
I'd like to clear past trauma.
Okay, past trauma. All right. Is it intergenerational, or is it matriarchal or patriarchal? Like, is it on your mom's side, your dad's side, or do you think it's off planet? Just any clues that you have?
It's probably both.
Both. Okay. Well, let's do it for you and everybody on the call. Okay, so here goes. So
Okay.
for those on the call, use the pendulum, go counterclockwise. Don't have a pendulum, you can use your index finger. You're going counterclockwise to clear. So it would be like this. So I, Tyhson Bannigan, in my I am presence with the Assistant Divine Mother, Divine Father, and the source of all that is, undertake a clearing of all trauma, known or unknown, from any and all sources, known or unknown, core fractures, toxic emotions, or unresolved conflict. And I clear it throughout everybody on this call or listening to this call, and I clear their matriarchal, patriarchal lineages, soul lineages, star family lineages, and family of origin lineages. So we're doing 3 clearings, right? And we clear it throughout all time, space, and dimensions, both known or unknown, throughout the past, present, and future. And I declare it so be it, it is done. So there you are. And then when it's done, and we're still letting it go until it's done, it's still rotating on its own. Quite a bit of clearing going on here. I'll just let it come to rest. And then we want to install. So what do you want to install?
Peace.
Peace. Okay. So then you'd say, so what's your name?
Deborah.
So say I and Deborah, and then state your whole name.
I, Deborah.
Your full name.
Oh, I, Deborah Weenie.
In my I am presence.
I am present.
In my I am presence.
And I am present.
In my I am presence.
And I am present.
Hereby declare.
I hereby declare.
I'm a sovereign human being.
I'm a sovereign human being.
I deserve love.
I deserve love.
Dwell in love.
Pardon?
Dwell in love. Live in love.
Dwell in love. Live in love.
And broadcast love to the world.
And broadcast love to the world.
What else do you want?
I just want everything good.
Yeah, I want everything to feel good. I want to feel at home in my body. I want to feel safe and secure. I want to be able to live a vibrant, prosperous life. Anything else?
Yeah, my health is bad right now.
Okay, and I want to, yeah, vibrant health.
Yeah, vibrant health.
Yeah. Okay, anything else?
Is there anything to help my children?
Yeah, vibrant health so I can help my children. And what else?
Um,
If you had all of that, would that make you happy?
yes.
All right. Or anything else that source knows that I would benefit from. How about that?
Yes.
That'll be the icing on the cake. And then you say,
Yeah.
I declare it so.
I declare so.
So be it.
So be it.
It is done.
It is done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So you can come onto the show and copy that out and use that every single day, and you'll find the miracles will happen in your life, right? Because when you clear yourself and then declare what you want, then the universe will respond. It says, oh, that's what that person wants. Okay. And they're going to deliver it just like pizza to your door.
What
All
was
right.
her last name, Tyson?
What's your last name again?
Spelled W-E-E-N-I-E.
W-E-E-N-I-E?
N-I-E, yes.
N-I-E. All right. Thank you
Yeah.
for phoning in. Much appreciated.
Okay, thank you so much. God bless you.
All right. So there, Michael's got it up for you, Deborah Weenie. So thank you very much, Deborah, for phoning in and being brave, because that was a clearing for everybody on the call. We're listening to the call now and in the future. So thank you for doing that. So anybody else who'd like to have a clearing or talk about what we're talking about or share some examples of what you've had experiences with interdimensional travel, then please phone in. The lines are now open, 1-866-369-7464. So interdimensional travel. So what other sorts of experiences have you had with interdimensional travel?
Oh my Lord. I've gone to like past, like gone back to Egypt when I was a man in Egypt working on
Was that guided with your
temple.
teacher, or did you do that on your own? Or did
was-
it just happen spontaneously?
well, this was all working with my first teacher.
Okay.
He took me on he was an acupuncturist, and he took me on a spiritual journey first, which is he'd never done before with anyone. And then he went to the mental and the physical at the end of our time together. But the majority of our work together was a spiritual. And then when he died, he came to me and explained to me why that had happened and why I'm still working on my physical body to this day, because he did so much spiritual work with me in the beginning.
Yeah.
And he would needle me, and I would just like I was gone.
Right.
And that at that time, that one, as I remember, I was on the steps of a temple, and I was making mats with many other men.
Mhm.
And there was actually another man that was another one of his clients, and he and I were very close friends. I never met him, but I knew I could feel his energy in the office, and I would it was
Did you say that you were making masks?
no mats,
Mats, M-A-T-T-S, mats.
like straw mats.
Straw
You would
mats, yeah.
weave them.
Yeah, I thought
And-
maybe you said masks when you're having another COVID-19
Oh my
experience.
God, don't say that. I can't wait for this to be over. I just don't even understand it, but whatever. But yeah, that was that was another time I did the interdimensional travel, and also went to the pyramids and had some pyramids open up for me, and they moved and they did all this stuff, and I was watching from a bird's eye view. And that image, still to this day, I still haven't figured it out, and it still haunts me, not in a bad way, just as like I want to understand it more, because it was so unique and so and I can't even explain it. I know it's super important.
So
I just
tell me
don't-
about it.
So there was 3 pyramids on the sand, and I'm looking at it from this way, looking down.
And it wasn't
And
on
then-
planet. Was it on planet Earth or not?
I don't know. I
Okay.
don't know. And they were
I don't think so.
moving, and then another like long stone thing was like moving across too. And this has something to do with that because they were in front of the pyramids.
Yeah.
You're like shifting and doing all of this. Still is just like it's intense.
Well, some say that the 3 pyramids of Giza on the Giza Plateau are actually the belt of Orion, which is where the Star Nation that helped build, or where the actual designers and creators of the pyramids came from, right? And so there's many beliefs that we are actually always doing something with so when we're building things, sacred temples, we're actually doing star maps. So if you go to Cambodia and you look at the ancient temples, they're reflecting a star, a set of stars in the sky. So some say that they're like broadcasters, or they're like honing beacons. So for example, if you were coming from Orion to Earth, you would want to know, well, where on Earth? Where am I? What colony am I going to? So you'd want to have a beacon, which would be the capstone, which would be on the pyramid, which would be vibrating because it's crystal and energetic at a certain frequency that I could then telepathically pick up, or through instruments on the UFO. And if I understand UFOs, they're not just mechanical, they're actually they're mechanical human interface. In other words, like you and the mechanism become one. So in other words, the UFO needs the human, and I don't mean just pulling levers and pushing buttons. I mean, literally, you think a thought and you're operating the controls, which is pretty cool, right? It's the positive part of where we're going forward with being able to plug in our brain into technology. And if we do it in a positive way, we can do these sorts of things. The scary thing is when they use that technology to create another neural network to shut us down. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But in this case, that interface allows you to extend your human capabilities through the technology to do certain things. So now you have interdimensional travel. So that becomes the honing beacon to bring in the craft and the landing to that particular site. So
definitely a lot of alien stuff that went on during that time too, that I couldn't even begin to explain. And my first teacher was like, "Oh, you've seen so many UFOs in the last like 2 years." He goes, "I have never seen even one." And I'm like, how lucky am I? Because I didn't feel lucky. I'm like, why do these things keep showing up for me? Leave me alone, And now they have.
Because there's a message. So you're a star being. So, I mean, that's why we always clear the star lineage, is that not that we don't respect where we're coming from, but we're respecting that lineage. But we may have there may be our Star Nation agenda, why they sent us here to do certain things that may or may not be beneficial for our own soul growth. Or let's put it this way. And we just did I just received a reading from Corey, where she says, I have to really work on separating myself from my family lineage. At this point, it's detrimental for me to continue to have an intimate relationship with that. It's not that I need to divorce it. It's in totality. What I'm trying to say is there's certain times where you need to put certain aspects of your soul agreement on. You need to put it in neutral, or you need to put it aside so you can do your own inner work before you pick it up. Because if you've got your agenda and your Star Nation's agenda and your family of origins agenda and your ancestral agenda, it just gets overwhelming. Like who's in this body incarnating, who's trying to do what, right? Like give me a break. Let me figure certain things out first then we can deal with this. I mean, there's actually no separation
Well,
in actuality, but it helps you understand who you are first.
and just like on this, in this dimension, on those other dimensions, there has to be some kind of things that were holding us back as well from moving forward, right?
Yeah, as a soul group, that's why they sent you here.
Right. So, yeah. See, now that's something I haven't actually ever thought about or considered. So they sent me here for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. They sent you for a reason. So what is that reason? And
What do you
and
call
is it something you
Dharma?
can step into now that you are really much more clear about who you are? Because that's what all those memories of UFOs are all about, is they're trying to remind you that, hey, you're on a mission, right? That you signed up for.
Well, what they say is we need to make sure you're right where you are, or right where you're supposed to be in the exact moment that
Well,
you're.
this is it. I mean, if you're all right with that and not overwhelmed with it, you will be in the right place at the right time to do
Mhm.
what you're here to do. I mean, this is the whole thing. It's not when we integrate something about our soul family or our star family, our family of origin, then no longer is it a problem. It's when we get into overwhelm or fear or doubt or just like too much. As an empath, then we need to create a boundary, our own boundary first, right? And then add in somebody else's boundary and agenda. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, and while you're talking too, you know where you're from?
Yeah, I think I'm from the Pleiades by way of Venus, but I'm not sure.
Ask, are we from the same star family? Truth, yes or no? Yes or no?
Well, I think we're related on some level. I think this is not the first rodeo that you and I have done.
Yeah, they're just saying maybe. Maybe it's connected in some way.
Yeah, Michael says I'm from Arcturus. Well, I know I work with the Arcturians. I know that when I work with the whales and I work with star wheels and medicine wheels, and when I was with the whales and the keys and codes for the planet was definitely I was communicating with the Arcturians. No doubt about it. I don't know if I'm from Arcturus or not, but I certainly have an intimate relationship with Arcturians for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that I can say where I'm from.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, I'm guessing. I mean, the Pleiades sounds really sexy and it's beautiful and it's kind of feminine
But the Pleiades
vibration.
is 5D right now, and to me, they're here to help us move from here to there, and as lovely as they are and whatnot, that there's still beyond that. Does that make sense as to why we're here? Because there's more than just moving from 4D to 5D.
Well, I think it's like this, and I think that we are like the root chakra for the multiverse. I think that we are the anchor point in a way, and that I can't describe what does that mean. What I'm trying to say is we're the jewel in the crown. We think that everybody else is more advanced and that we need to catch up with them. And yes, we do. In our human mind consciousness, we're overwhelmed by the trauma that we're going through. But in actual fact, when we get this, when we get it, whatever it is, like getting out of our way and being our true nature, then and we do this planetary wise, the whole multiverse, this is my understanding, will go through a huge change.
Yeah, this
This
isn't
is not just a little planet in a little solar system having a little adventure. But maybe that's our ego as humanity that we think. But if I say that, I get shivers up my spine. So there's something to the truth of what I'm saying. Is it the multiverse or is it just our immediate universe? I don't know. But let's just say it has an impact on what we're doing here that's beyond our solar system and certainly is at the universal level. It may not be at the multiverse level, but certainly it'll affect our whole universe.
Well, what I get is that I was placed here to make sure that we move from one to the next, so that
From one dimensional reality to the next.
to the next.
Yeah.
so that the whole universe can as well. Like we are, because we're so negative and so like
Badass.
pretty much like this is the
We are.
longest,
We're a badass
the
group.
longest, most difficult dimension to get through.
And pig-headed. And yeah, I mean, if you
Yeah.
think, if you're trying to,
And it's horrible.
we're the bad kids in the back row with spitballs, right? We're not very well behaved.
Well, the dimension brings out the worst in everyone. The murder and the crime and the
Well, we
the
get to play with
horror and stuff.
polarity. I mean, we get to
Right.
play with, I mean,
Right.
think about it. As a soul, to play this game of light and dark, you have to have some sense of your spirituality, or you're gonna get totally lost
Right.
in your evolution of consciousness. Because if you get into the dark too far, it's like you're never, nothing gets lost. So we're
Right.
all gonna win, whatever
Yeah.
winning means. But you know, it's a short road to enlightenment or a longer one. And the long one, if you get lost in the dark, so to speak, can be, I think, quite long. You know?
Yes.
I
Yep.
mean, if it takes us 64,500 years to get to this point in this cycle, right? And then we're about to go through this major change in the next 2,000 years, you know, we're coming to the end of this.
Yeah.
Then that whole thing all comes to an end, like it goes to 0 point, like everything. Then you got to wait for it all to come back again and go through all this evolution and dirty diapers and God knows
Yeah.
what all to get back to this whole same point, to have the same decision. So think about it. We had Lemuria, we had Atlantis, and we now have North America, or how we want it. This is the third. Now,
Yeah,
some
what is
say
what
this
is
is
this
like the
world called?
32nd one. This is not the third one. This is the third one that we can remember. But there is books that have
Fifth
been
one,
written.
isn't it? The
Yeah,
fifth
there's
world?
like 32 different seed nations on this planet that
Mhm.
gone through ascension. So we're not the first rodeo, but this is the
Yeah.
first one that I know of, or I can feel of, that's planetary wide. Before it was civilizations, right? Raised that a civilization would come to its apex and some people would go through ascension and then the civilization would collapse. Okay. But this is the same, but this is on a global planetary level. Some people will go through ascension and the rest will collapse.
Exactly. But
Nobody
that
gets lost.
has to happen in order for the universal change to happen. And that's why I believe we're here to make sure that that happens on some level.
And it's interesting that you talk about portals because, you know, there's a book written on where I live and it's called The Gathering of the Egos, where that's the magnetic or electromagnetic, where I live is, it's called a safe zone. People are attracted here of a certain frequency. And I don't mean this as a, ooh, but you could think of it as or la la la. But, you know, people are attracted here for certain reasons. And then they say that there's an interdimensional, this is the belief that we're going somewhere, right? I don't
Right.
necessarily think we're going, it may look like we're going somewhere, like the tube torus that you talked about, that portal. If you, in your mind's eye, there is a portal from this dimension to the other, then they say this is where one of the portals is. This is a stargate or a portal. And some will be here as guides at the entrance of the portal to say, hey, this way. Some will be in the portal guiding them, and some people will be greeting them on the other side. Is this actually interdimensional travel? I don't know. Or is it interdimensional travel to a new Earth that actually is the same as this new Earth? Or is it actually an Earth of a different name? There's various, you know, there's various beliefs about what that is, right? But the point is that that whole idea, that tube from one dimension to the other is in that story as well, right? There is a stargate, which is, we go back to the pyramids that you're talking about as a stargate from your original star system. For the Egyptians, it was from the stargate of Orion through to the landing of the portal. The tube or the stargate was then the pyramids of Giza, right? And we have
Yeah,
a number of
absolutely.
those. Interesting enough, if you look at why this US Army has invaded certain countries, you'll find that they're manning certain stargates.
Huh.
The invasion of Iraq had to do with taking over one of the major stargates because they were afraid that the Anunnaki would be reappearing through that Stargate. So they armed it, literally, they
On,
built a
the
fence
Anunnaki,
around it,
yeah.
and it's now guarded by the military. It's a sacred site.
But I'm telling you, when the Anunnaki come, no one's gonna stop them.
Exactly. I mean, it's a delusion of our third dimensional reality that somehow your water pistol is going to be effective against advanced technology, right? Anyway,
Yes, Debbie, call in if you want a clearing. Debbie Etzel wants a clearing, and she's
yeah,
like,
phone in. We want to hear from you.
yeah, we don't. We're yakking up a storm here, and it's wonderful conversation. But you're our reason why we're here. So if you need something, call.
Yeah, call us. I mean, we only have a couple more days to have this opportunity to receive a clearing from us this way for free. Otherwise, you got to hire us, right?
And,
You got to
right. And
hire
remember,
us as a coach to come and
I
do
want
it.
to finish this thought about the Anunnaki.
That got somebody going. Here's Debbie.
Let me finish about the Anunnaki, though, is that they don't have the same powers that they did back in the beginning. Lots has changed between.
Hello?
Oh no, just a sec here. We got Laura wants to carry on about the Anunnaki.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, no, awesome. I didn't want to interrupt.
No, it's fine. You just hang on there. So
Okay.
So they're not as destructive as they used to be.
well, they are still as destructive as they used to be, but there's good and bad in every civilization. What they have to do, they can't go through ascension unless they go and clean up
Just
all
like
of their
us. Right.
interspecies messing around with our DNA. Now that's no different than God knows. I mean, if you believe in conspiracy theories, we've already been to Mars and we've already done cloning and God knows what all of wherever the humans have gone. So we got to go clean that up as well, because as a species, we're responsible for everything that we messed up in the universe as well. This is cleanup time. This is where the truth is being revealed on every level. There's no escape. You know, you got to look at both your light and your dark. You got to meet your shadow. There's no escape. So clean up our act. So Debbie, welcome to the show. What's up?
Oh, well, I'm sure you know I lost my puppy to Fargo yesterday, so that was great. And Laura, thank you so much, because we were both a wreck. It was very traumatic. But I was hoping I believe in the power of three, whether it's the Trinity or three people or whatever, the three of us could clear this area of Fargo and install optimum health to my animals. Because Tyler is only 4 months old. Kayla was 2 months and a week yesterday, and when she passed. And but I heard when I rode to town yesterday that there is some parvo problems out here in the high desert. So I wanted to share with you that I don't know if you've heard of the Integratron in Landers, California. You need to research that. I live right by it, like a mile from it. And there's also something called giant rock. So we're talking about interterrestrial travel and all that. It's really.
Could you send me the linkages to all that?
Yeah,
okay.
It's Integratron. It's like INTE.
No, I'm not going to spell that out. You need to send it to. You need to send it to me.
Yeah, it's super interesting. There's a lot of cool vortexes out here. You know, and it's like a sound vortex. And then you have giant rock, which was like a landing place for extraterrestrials.
And where do you live again? Where do you live again?
Landers, Landers, California. It's in the Mojave Desert.
Okay, how far are you from?
There's giant rock, and giant rock is linked to the Integratron, because the man who lived at Giant Rock was taken to a spaceship in the 50s, and he built the Integratron based on what he was told. It's just really interesting information. I know you like sound healing.
Yeah,
but,
so where are you from? White Sands, California. Is that the same desert area?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I live right by it, like a mile from it.
Oh, well, yeah, I know that area from my own research. Totally, like. Absolutely. Cool. I mean, I've always wanted to have those on Venus. I wanted them to come and pick me up. I was so jealous that he would receive a vibration in his skull, right? that they would to go to the
Yeah.
desert and get picked up. Flying saucers
Yeah.
have landed. Hey, I went to high school and talked about that and got my shit kicked out of me because they thought I was a weird kid.
That's so cool.
I thought it was
Yeah,
I thought it was natural. And I was always upset as how come they didn't send me a message so I get picked up and taken home. Right. So I do know where you're talking
Yeah.
about. And so
Yeah.
the work that we could do.
It's huge. The rock is huge. It's
Right.
Tassel. He worked for like aerospace industry out here way
Yeah.
back when. And I mean, there's books on him, documentation. There's a lot of old pictures where they used to have these UFO conferences in the 50s and 60s. And he was way ahead of his time. Wow, it's just super interesting. But I did want to share that with you because we were talking about interdimensional travel and stuff that
Yeah, thank
kept
you.
popping in my head. Yeah.
Well, you're
But
right.
I'll-
It takes three
I'll
people.
send you-
Takes three
I'm
people.
sorry?
What you said,
Yeah,
it takes
three
three people. The magic of the three or more are gathered there in my age. So I would like you, because I'll get the group to work on this. I need three reference points. You give me one in the landscape. Whether the other two sacred landscape, it could be a mountain, it could be, well, you'll figure it out. What are the three? And send me that information and so I can find it on Google Maps. Because I need
Yeah.
I
don't-
need a triangle. So
Yeah.
Just listen. I need three people, but I need a triangle in the landscape. Then I take the triangle of where I live here, and I put the two together, and then we have a Merkaba that starts to clean things up like you would not believe. The experience that we've had with this lately has been amazing. We did one on Calgary, and half an hour later, they had a storm that was taller than Mount Everest went through. So we have proof positive that this stuff works, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I would think the Integratron, Giant Rock, and then
Yeah, that's what he's got.
Joshua
Giant Rock and
National
Joshua
Park.
Tree.
or Old Women Springs. One of those would be a good triangle because there's a lot of good energy there.
Where's Widow Springs?
Old Women Springs.
Old Woman Spring. Okay. Got it.
Old Women Springs is up in the same area. This is in the Lucerne Valley and Johnson Valley. Unfortunately, we are right next to the 29 Palms base, which is the largest base in the world. So there's it's, the toxicities here, I'm sure, are horrible because I'm clearing all the time. But we also have like a lot of UFO stuff going on out here.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of groups, and I've only seen two things in 6 years that I've been here that were highly questionable. But other people posted on Facebook up here, it's like, wow, this is so cool. But we have amazing stars. I love the night skies. I go out every night and I take the dogs out for a walk and we look at stars, and I take my grandkids out and teach them about moon phases and things like that. But anyway, it's good points, but parvo is not a good thing, obviously. And,
Right.
I was hoping maybe the three of us could do like some major clearing.
Well, I'll actually put it into the group. We're doing group clearings. I want to do this as a group. So I'll put it into.
Perfect.
I'll put that in. If you give me all the stuff and information and that's close to, then I can find it on Google Maps. But this is the new work of working with a Merkaba in a group to do planetary clearing. And if you're interested or anybody out there that wants to know about this, then you need to join the Boots on the Ground Geomantic course. Okay, that's where I'm teaching this, and when we're working in the Sacred Valley and working on cleaning it up, which is the Aztec culture. So we're down in Peru doing this work as well, and very, very exciting. And he was saying, well, you told me all this stuff, but where's a book I can read? And I said, I'm downloading you this fresh. There is no book. So it's literally coming through me. It's very, very exciting. This is the advanced work that I'm being called to do. And so if anybody out there, this rings for you, there's two ways you can join the Boots on the Ground. Full pay is $333 US a month. That means you meet with us once a week at a regular time. If you can't afford that half price, you can come in after the fact, listen to what we talk about, and then the last class of every month you join us for question and answer. So I want to make it inexpensive for those that can't afford the 333. At least they can come and participate after the fact. And at some point it'll be an online course for maybe even a little less expensive. But this is a cutting edge of what we're doing. So thank you for already knowing that it takes three human beings at least, and it takes 3 points in the landscape. And I'll just hold up the tetrahedron. If you see what I'm talking about, there's 3 other points, right? So what are those are 3 other points. So 3 of them are in your landscape, 3 of them are in my landscape, and 3 people make up then the tetrahedron. Okay,
That's beautiful.
Okay.
So thank you for that and helping us bring this other level of our conversation through. Okay, so stay in touch,
Yeah,
and we'll start to
I
get your
will.
area cleaned up.
Oh, that'd be so awesome.
And
Thank
you're-
you so much.
and
And thanks for everything you do. And Laura, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I could not talk to you yesterday about you. So,
Yeah, I love you, Debbie.
Yep.
Yeah, and thank you
Yeah.
for opening your heart and being that guide in the tube that we're talking about from one lifetime to the other. I appreciate that's the most
Yeah.
important work that you could
Okay.
ever do. All right, love you.
yeah. Okay.
Bye for now.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, we have probably room for one more call. If that's you, then feel free to call in before the end of the show. It's 1-866-369-7464. We're talking about geomancy, working in the landscape, cleaning up sacred sites, those areas in the landscape where strange things have happened, whether UFOs, mismanagement of energy, trauma. We're going to be doing one whole session on Lebanon. Lebanon is in crisis. We're identifying the 3 points in the landscape in Lebanon this morning. The beautiful cedars of Lebanon. Gihel Gibran in his book, that ancient, I don't know people, about that book. People use it when they get married to it, and they read it at ceremonial events.
What's it called?
Gibran, I can't even pronounce his name. Gehil, Kahil, Gibran. His book is absolutely a beautiful book of poetry, and it's a very like a Sufi perspective.
Sufi, yeah, very, very interesting.
And that whole Syria, Lebanon, all that area has been under attack for multi generations, and we just looked at pictures there, and it's so beautiful. It's so the landscape is so absolutely gorgeous. So anyway, we want to do some work and clear the trauma out of the land there. I really believe that's work that we're called to do trumps any. If we use the law one, the most benevolent outcome for all concerned, which is the landscape and all of nature too, that trumps any craziness that any other humans are trying to do in the landscape. It will just clear it once and for all. And I mean, we may have to go down back and do multiple sessions, but I do believe it. I know it works.
I've never been called to do work in the Middle East. Have you?
Yeah, absolutely. Did a lot of work with one client. I worked with her in Israel, and we worked on all of Jerusalem and the Stargate there for over a year. So I've done a fair amount of work in Israel.
Oh, it's interesting. I just never have. Lots of other places, but just not there. So,
well, you see, this is where Armageddon and the whole, all of the the end of the world and all this prophecy crap, right? Is all rooted in the Stargate of Jerusalem. That's why it's important to change the timelines of the belief, of the fundamental Christian belief that we have to go through a Holocaust, we have to go through these end times, that we have to go through Armageddon in order to have the new earth or the new world or the second coming of Christ. So there's a belief in some that more we push war there to happen between the Arabs and the Jews, the closer we're going to get to these end times and the coming of Christ. So it's a fundamental belief that is very, very powerful. That's why it's important to go into the landscape and clear all that trauma.
there's a lot.
There's a lot, absolutely. So we were actually tracing the path of the Knight Templar. So we went to the Temple of the Mount. We went where Christ was buried, and we did because when you walk those if you're sensitive and you walk those paths, you will be uploaded and you will download. So you'll bring the positive into your body of what the Knights Templar were doing through your feet, and you'll be clearing out of yourself the trauma into Mother Earth. So you, every sacred site is doing the same. It's teaching you fundamental truths that are built in the landscape. All right, 1 minute to go. So there we are. I know you're puzzling over all that, but it's
No,
exciting.
I think it's very interesting, and I would love. I'm actually going to go and check it out today.
So
after
think of
the
this. I mean, the song lines in Australia is a good example of that, right? Where there's no written records. You took the young man and the woman on all along the song line, right? You walked it, and then on the rocks was the story of your civilization, your culture, your tradition, your meeting of the star people. And everywhere you went on that path was your food, and you walked that song line and told the history and story. So just your feet touching that ground, you were touching the path of your ancestors, right? It was coming through your feet.
Yeah. Okay. So you can do the same thing in Israel, though.
Yeah, you can do it on any sacred journey. That's what a sacred journey is all about. All righty.
Good.
Top of the hour. Thanks for showing up, everybody. And don't forget, you got a clearing in this that you can use for your lineage. And so feel free to use that. And don't forget that this is the end of the show for the period coming up. So this is your opportunity to phone in for the rest of the week and receive a clearing. Otherwise, we are available to do one-on-one coaching and assistance for you. All right. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.
For now.
For quality online wellness products, courses, and services, visit our sponsors, thewellnessstore.ca and the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy located at thewellnessacademy.ca. To stay in touch, visit us at thewellnessshow.ca. And until next time, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.